Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Today I'm going to do something. It's becoming a more and more popular thing. I think due to COVID and everybody being closed in, and you really couldn't get out and go anywhere. And you really couldn't go out in your backyard and plink with a 22 rifle or your AR or something because the neighbors being so close and nobody was allowed to go to shooting ranges. Then when they kind of got all that mess cleared up, ammo was nowhere. You couldn't find it. It's hard finding a lot of it, and the prices have went through the roof. So it's becoming more and more popular. Folks are shooting air rifles. Now I'm not talking about the daisy rifles that you saw back when you were a kid, or the Red Riders, or even the little Crossman. What were those? 844s or something, 744? I can't remember. For its time, that little Crossman was a pretty powerful little BB gun, pellet rifle rather. They would shoot pretty hard, but compared to the things that rifles today do, it's unreal. There's actually air rifles out there now made by companies like, I think they're Hagden or Umerix, Texas Air. There's some companies out there making some deer rifles that are air powered, that shoot a 45 caliber bullet and will put game on the ground at 250, 300 yards. I mean, they shoot crazy velocities, big tanks, big pop open reservoirs that dump a lot of air at one time. The technology is unreal. But for most shooters, for most people, that's out of reach. You're not going to own an air rifle that you got to give $3,000 or $4,000 for. You know, most people aren't going to do that. And even if you get a cheaper one of the high-end air rifles, you're still looking at $1,200–1,500, and most people's not going to put that kind of money in an air rifle. But there is some affordable choices that are pretty good shooters, and some of the technology that they put into some of these affordable rifles are actually pretty good. I've got a couple laying here today I want to show you that I personally own, that I really like. They got good power and some pretty good features, but I'll kind of show them to you and explain some of that. The first one I want to show you, this is a Ruger Black Hawk Elite. Okay, it's got a real nice looking skeletonized stock. I like that stock. It's got a recoil butt pad. You're not really going to need it. It's only 177. But still, it's there. You know, maybe if your kids are wanting to shoot, or your wife, you know, somebody that's hesitant about recoil. Even some of us big guys sometimes don't like recoil. It comes with a Ruger scope. It's just a single power 4x32. It's non-adjustable. It's got a rifled chrome poly barrel. It does got a muzzle device that's not anything adjustable, although it looks like it would be with all that, but it can't be adjusted. It does have like a counterbalance to the front to make the gun pretty balanced with all that that's up on the front of the barrel. Pretty nice little rifle. But one thing I want to show you, the difference between this rifle and this other rifle that I've got laying here. I'm going to go ahead and cock this, and the way they ask you to cock it is you get a hold of the barrel out front, brace the rifle, break it down, and pull all the way down till you hear it click. Then you push it all the way back up into the lock position, and that's ready to fire. On both of these, whenever you do that, the safety right here on this one automatically comes on. Okay, so now what I want you to listen to is when I pull the trigger on this rifle and shoot it, and you listen to the sound. Okay, ready? Here we go. All right, that was pretty loud. That was almost as loud as if you were shooting a 22. Okay, so the neighbors still might buck just a little bit. If you're shooting that one in the backyard much, they may peer over the fence to see what's going on. Now this one, I really like this rifle. This is made by Gamo. It is a, let me get the name right here, a Whisper Fusion Elite. Now, if you shoot some of the Power Belt pellets, they're a little bit more expensive than regular pellets, and you'll know them by, they look like a pointed pellet with a plastic coating around them, and they'll have two drive bands like on shotgun holes, kind of sort of like. And these are nylon, and they're very slick. You shoot one of those out of this rifle, and this rifle will shoot that thing at 1,300 feet per second. It's amazing how fast they've got these little rifles down. Now I'm going to show you. That one was very easy to cock. 37 pounds of pull, I think is what they say that it takes to cock this one. The Ruger's a little higher than that. It's about 42. So it might be a little bit harder for kids, but this one's not that bad. This one does have a bigger air chamber. It has a 100 millimeter air chamber, so this pushes quite a bit of air. That's why they're able to push up that 1,300 feet per second out of this little rifle. Now it does come with a 3 by 9 by 40 scope. It's adjustable. You can adjust it down to 3 power, or you can adjust it up to 9 power. Pretty good. It's pretty for what it is. It says it's made by Gammo. They got their name on it engraved into it. I'm sure it's just a little cheap scope. It's not as good as something that you would probably put on a 22 rifle or something, but for shooting air pellets, it's pretty stout. The stock is all synthetic, and the barrel is a chrome poly barrel that's rifled. Now, a lot of the pellet rifles and BB guns that you get, they don't have a rifled barrel. This does have a rifled barrel. It was built with accuracy and hunting in mind. But now the whole outside of the barrel is coated in a really thick synthetic body that's fluted. So it looks pretty neat. You can see it there. And now, on the end of this, it is exactly what it looks like. This is actually a suppressor that reduces felt recoil and sound by up to 74%, depending upon the weight and the design of the projectile that you're shooting from it. This thing actually deadens the recoil and the report. It cuts down the amount of noise that you'll hear. Now, you remember when we shot that Ruger, listen to this one, and I'm just going to pull the trigger on it. It's not got a pellet in it right now. It's just an empty chamber. This one also too, when I cocked it, it automatically sets the trigger safety. So you have to pull the trigger safety back to turn it on, turn it off rather. If when you cock it, it automatically kicks it forward, and when you're ready to shoot, you pull it backwards to turn it off. Okay, now just listen to the sound of this. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Now, these have been sprayed with lubricant, with a powder lubricant, but I don't know if you can see the end of that very well, but it's kind of made like a PowerPoint. The center of the pellet in front has a point on it, and it's like I got a cup around it, and it's kind of made to work kind of like full-size rifle bullets that you use that are PowerPoint, that you get a lot of expansion. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of rounds downrange through the little Ruger, and then we'll shoot this one a few times, and we'll go downrange and take a look, see what we did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera to face the target I've got set up down here at 40 yards, and that's pretty good distance for a pellet rifle. You know, something that's not got powder pushing it. 40 yards is pretty good distance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to relocate the camera and zoom down on the target, and then we'll get some shots in. I'm aiming right at the point of that little orange arrow that comes down from the top, so I'm kind of trying to hold right at the tip of it. So that's a 5-shot group. It's probably going to be in 1.5 inch, 2 inch circle. It's not too good. I'm not real happy with that. 3 of those shots are probably in a 3/4 or a 1-inch circle at 40 yards. That's not bad. That's not bad at all for this rifle. But now this rifle is what I consider the first evolution of pellet rifles after the ones like the Crossman. The newer evolution, and it's still not completely. This gun has probably been out for, I don't know, 3 years probably, but it's a whole different standard of air rifle, and with the weight is so small. With that Ruger weighs, I'm gonna guess that Ruger weighs 8 pounds. It's pretty heavy. This Gamos might weigh 5, maybe. It's not got much weight on it at all, so I'm pretty happy about that. If you got to pack it all day, so I'm going to try to hold true on the bullseye and see where this thing's impacting that, because again, like I said, it's been probably close to 2 years since this thing's been shot. Now that one, it landed awful close to the bullseye. Maybe just that first one was a flyer. It may have been something in the barrel or on the end of that pellet and I didn't see it. Let's try that again. I'm starting to like this thing again. This is what I was talking about. This is the next level when it comes to shooting air rifles. Wow, this thing's awesome. Well, I'm going to put a pellet or 2 more through this Ruger. And we're going to pick out a different aim point, because I've shot this Ruger a lot and this Ruger will do better than what I did with it just in a second. I'm thinking something that's kind of got me concerned here is, actually I'm noticing now the scope is twisted on this thing, so somebody may have moved the scope on it at one time. I don't know. My son and his friends have shot some of this stuff, so alright, let's see if I can do this again. Safe off. Now that hit straight above the point from that bottom arrow in the orange ring, I believe, is where that landed. Let's try that again. See if we can do that one more time, because I really don't feel good about what I did with them first 5 shots. That was something not right. And now that I see that the scope is twisted, I gotta add some Kentucky windage and Georgia elevation and Hawaii twist to try to shoot this gun with a twisted scope, and that's not easy. Let's see. Again, like I said, this scope is turned about 10 degrees canted to the left, and this ain't easy when you're trying to make that many kinds of adjustments. Yeah, that's better. Let's put one more in there. Come on, Jeff, turn off the safety. See, right there I caught myself before I pulled the trigger. I was trying to square the scope. And I know that the scope is not square to the rifle right now, so that's making it very difficult to shoot this thing anywhere close to accurate. Yeah, if you look in there now, where it's sticking those pellets, I mean, it's laid 3 within ½ inch of each other. All right. Up here, these are where I was shooting the Ruger, the first ones that I shot. And I think even 2 of these may have been in. I was just all over the place, and I couldn't understand why. Then after I realized it and I looked better, I saw what the deal was, and I was shooting the gun with the scope straight, and the gun canted about 15 degrees. It's way off. I don't know how that would happen. I just checked it to see if the scope was loose in the rings, and it's not. The Gamos, there's actually 5 holes here. This hole is actually 2 holes. I don't know how well you can see it. This hole is actually 2 holes. So there's 5 shots right there that I could cover almost all 5 of them with my thumbnail at 40 yards with a pellet rifle. And these are not really good pellets I was shooting. Like I said, they're field grade pellets. They're old pellets. Pellets I've had for a long time. They're beat up. I never looked at any of the bolts on the back to see if they were straight or nothing. As they come out of the can, I stuck them in the rifle, so it was kind of a true test. It was shooting raw ammunition in an unclean barrel, and at 40 yards, when you can put 5 shots in an area that you can almost cover with your thumbnail, that's pretty good, man, in my opinion. Not a lot of people shoot a 22 that accurate unless you've got something you've put a little time into. But that's a headshot on a squirrel all day long, because I didn't realize that the scope was twisted that far. Then the next 5 shots did have a flyer. I called that one. I said, I think I pulled that one off. These are the other 4 that came out of this, and I can cover 3 of those 4 with my thumbnail, and one of them is probably, I don't know, 1/2 inch lower. This is probably 1 1/4 inch group with that rifle, with the scope being that way. Like I said, on the Ruger, it does have this muzzle device. This thing's heavy, and it balances the front of the rifle really well. The overall weight of this rifle is way beyond what that Gamos is. Way beyond. This rifle here, I'm going to say it'll weigh at least 8 pounds. It's pretty heavy. The price point on this Ruger, I think I give $149 is what I gave for this Ruger. Now I'm not sure what the MSRP is, because I caught this one on sale. The lower price point, it was kind of the top end of what rifles at that time were. But now this one, good. I don't know why anybody would ever want a better air rifle. It's super light. It may weigh 4.5, 5 pounds. It's got a fairly good scope on it. It's got a 9-pair zoom. I mean, how much more zoom can you need in a pellet rifle? I'm not shooting 1,000 yards, because what I am going to do is I want to get some flat nose pellets for this rifle, and I'm going to try to cut a playing card with it at 25 yards. Both of these rifles also have fully adjustable trigger. I think the Ruger can be adjusted down to 3.4 pounds, maybe is what it was. Now, the Gamos says it's adjustable to 3.74. I don't think that's factual. It'll go a lot lower than that. I stopped adjusting it, and on a gauge, mine's at about 2 pounds and 3 ounces. It does have a hooded front sight that's fiber optic, and it also has fiber optic rear sights that are diopter and fully adjustable. So it's got a real good set of, really good set of sights. But now you get those speed pellets, and the ones that's got the nylon coating on them, those little pellets, this gun will push over 1,300 feet a second. Folks, that's crazy. 1,300 feet a second in an air rifle. That's skinnying down the road, okay? You get a fully adjustable cheek well, and it's ambidextrous, so that you can twist it to go for either side, however you want it. It does also have the rubber inserts in it for recoil reduction. But guys, I just wanted to pull these 2 little rifles out and show that there is a cost-effective alternative to shooting today that won't cost you an arm and a leg. They're not expensive, and once you get one, it's like pennies to shoot them. You know, I mean, you ain't got to go nowhere. You ain't got to drive nowhere. You can literally walk out your backyard and let it fly. But guys, I appreciate you watching. This is the Fat Man, and I'm gone. Hey guys, if you liked the video, hit subscribe. Don't forget to click that bell so you get notifications the next time we put out a video. Appreciate you. It's the Fat Man.
I'm gone.